Nikita proposed to Ksyusha during their final year of study. They spent a year as an engaged couple and finally had their wedding the following fall. Initially, both of them found jobs in their respective fields. Nikita's career took off quickly, but Ksenia faced several setbacks. She switched jobs a few times and even attempted a different profession, but nothing seemed to suit her. Understanding her struggle, Nikita decided to support their family on his own while giving Ksenia the time she needed to find her path. Grateful for her husband's understanding and freedom, Ksyusha searched for opportunities. However, she was reluctant to return to teaching art school, despite Nikita's suggestion. Her experience there had been less than ideal, and she was not ready to go back. As a year passed, Ksyusha continued her job search, albeit with less enthusiasm. Nikita didn't mind that she wasn't working, as she managed the household chores and brought joy into their relationship. They were content with this arrangement, unlike their friends who complained about the challenges of having both partners working. Occasionally, Nikita would inquire about Ksenia's job search. She would casually mention potential leads, but her dedication seemed to have diminished. Nikita also noticed that she spent more time meeting friends and engaging in phone conversations. Despite his suspicions, he chose to trust his wife and refrain from investigating. He believed that if something was truly wrong, he would be able to sense it. At a certain point, Nikita faced a challenging situation at work. He often worked late and occasionally brought his work laptop home. However, one day, due to being preoccupied, he left it behind in the office and only realized it when he arrived at his house. With no other option available, Nikita decided to use Ksyusha's laptop, as she was not at home. Without seeking her permission, he accessed his email using his wife's computer. While browsing, he noticed that a social networking site was open in one of the tabs, where Ksyusha regularly received messages. Nikita found himself torn between his curiosity to read those messages and his rational side, which told him that it was not the right thing to do. Despite his efforts to ignore the numerous notifications, he eventually succumbed to temptation and opened his wife's page. What he discovered left him in utter shock. As he read through Ksyusha's conversations, Nikita's heart sank, and a sense of unease engulfed him. He stumbled upon numerous conversations his wife had with various men. Some of the messages he saw made him feel sick, wondering what on earth was happening. He clicked on one of the most recent conversations, wherein a man named Alexander was showering Ksyusha with compliments and admiration. Scrolling further up, Nikita came across a naked photo of Ksyusha, and even higher up, there were videos with explicit content. Frantically, he opened more conversations, only to find the same pattern: photos and videos of his wife, with strange men eagerly complimenting her and even requesting more. Nikita swiftly restored everything to its previous state, ensuring that his wife wouldn't suspect that he had accessed her messages. Now, everything became clear to him. He understood why Ksyusha spent the entire day at home and showed no interest in finding a job. Overwhelmed by the situation, Nikita remained seated at the table, his hands on his head. It felt as if his pounding heart was about to explode. Part of him desperately wished that all of this was just a terrible nightmare and that he wasn't actually reading those messages. However, he knew deep down that his eyes hadn't deceived him. In that moment, a plan for vengeance against Ksyusha began to form in Nikita's mind. Several days after uncovering the truth, he created a fake profile under a different name, using someone else's photos. The pictures portrayed an attractive man with a great physique. His intention was to entice his wife and gain her trust once again. In less than a month, he had been writing to her daily, expressing interest in her life. He even ventured to ask about her relationship status. Ksyusha, without much thought, lied that she was only living with her husband as friends, with no real connection between them. Upon reading this, Nikita was shocked beyond belief. He couldn't fathom that Ksyusha could deceive him this way. He had always believed in their strong and trusting marriage. Nikita made a point not to request any photos from her. Yet she once voluntarily sent a picture of herself posing provocatively on their shared bed. Nikita realized there was no turning back. No matter the pain and betrayal he felt, he knew he had to see this through. Disguising himself as another man, Nikita persuaded his wife to meet up. Kyusha tried to dodge the question at first, but eventually agreed. "And you won't recognize me?" Nikita questioned her. "I'll wear a cloak on top, you mischief maker," Kyusha teasingly replied, assuring him she would comply with his wishes. Nikita still couldn't believe that these were words coming from his own wife. The day of the arranged meeting arrived. As Nikita headed to work that morning, he casually asked Kyusha about her plans for the day. She mentioned meeting up with girlfriends in the evening. Nikita bitterly chuckled to himself, knowing the truth. He had chosen a busy location to confront his wife. Cloaked in a black hoodie, Nikita anxiously awaited Kyusha's arrival. His emotions were in turmoil as he oscillated between leaving and staying to confront her. Finally, his dear wife appeared. She seemed uneasy, walking slowly and scanning the surroundings. The meeting spot had been set at a park bench under the clock, and unsuspecting Kyusha made her way there. Her cloak, concealing her body, was loosely tied at the waist. After a brief wait, Nikita emerged from his hiding place. Masked by his hood, he approached them confidently and greeted them. Kyusha's expression twisted in horror as she stumbled, desperately clutching the bench for support. Nikita whispered quietly, his voice filled with suppressed anger. "You and she waited for someone else. How could you, a married woman, allow yourself such deception for so long? I can't believe this is actually happening." Nikita demanded an explanation, but she couldn't find the words to respond. It was as if her voice was stuck in her throat. Suddenly, Nikita rushed towards her, hastily untying Remy and tearing off her cloak. To everyone's surprise, there was nothing underneath. The people in the park immediately took notice, with someone even pulling out their phone to capture the scene on video. In tears, the woman picked up her clothes from the ground and hurriedly ran towards the exit. Nikita also disappeared into the crowd. He wasted no time in filing for divorce, as no man could forgive such a betrayal. He sold their apartment and moved to another city, hoping to forget this nightmare. Meanwhile, photos of a naked and humiliated Kyusha circulated on the internet for a long time. Despite her attempts to have them removed by various specialists, no one could help her. Instead of receiving compliments on her figure, she now received messages from perverts and became the subject of laughter among the townspeople. Whenever she met someone new, they would often recognize her as the woman from the park, making it difficult for her to form any serious relationships. Nikita hoped that she finally realized that all of this was the consequence of her lies.